we're going to be talking about how to create energetic boundaries and boundaries in general. And so I think I'd like to start with a story. And my story is, it's a very long story and I could write a book about this story, but I'm not going to, I'll spare you with all the details. But for those of you that do know, or maybe some of you don't, I'm still married to a rabbi. My husband and I have been married for 23 years. And for about 18 years of that, yeah, 18, 17 years, we were the rabbi and rebbitzin, that's what it's called, of two large congregations in Iowa and in Boston. And it's a long story, as I said, but really what I want to talk about today is how I was in the middle of that. I was pregnant, I was birthing, I was in labor during high holiday services in front of a congregation at one point. I basically shared my life with a congregation, two different congregations for almost 18 years. You know, I was nursing, I was a nursing mom, I was a pregnant mom, I was a very postpartum mom, and everything in between. And then I was raising babies, and I was holding babies, and I had a lot of people that wanted to hold my babies. And what happened is I really collapsed inside. And on the outside, I looked the part, I played the part, I was extra nice and always, I think, always welcoming. And on the inside, and I don't think many people know this, but I hid in my husband's office quite a bit on Saturday mornings, on Shabbat mornings, because I was overwhelmed. Number one, I was protecting my babies because they were newborns, and there was at some point, 400 or 500 people there every Saturday. And number two, I was overwhelmed. And that's right. Probably the biggest thing was that I am a sensitive empath. And at the time when I was having little kids, I didn't really understand. I mean, I've always done Reiki and yoga, but I didn't really understand the impact that, having Swiss cheese in your aura just allows anything to come in, anybody, anything to come in. And I had to really protect myself. So I didn't really understand it, but I became like this mother lion. And I really, really was protecting my children, but also protecting me from all the energy coming at me. And it came to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And what I did was I started teaching yoga. And that act of teaching yoga helped me get some help on Saturday mornings so I could have some boundaries for my kids. Also, it helped me find a voice of my own. I always, was so codependent, and I felt like I was always riding on the coattails of the rabbi. And that's a little secret. That's a little vulnerable, but that was true. And when I found my own voice and my own self, I unraveled years of codependency just basically with everybody outside of myself. Whatever you thought of me was more important than what I thought of myself. On the outside, I looked strong and I acted strong, and even in my own family, in my mom, my dad, my sibling, my sister, I was one of the strong ones. But on the inside, I was so worried about what everybody else thought of me that I was breaking down. And so what I learned was I came to my husband and I told him that I wanted to move to Israel, that I thought it was time that we left congregational life, and that not only did I want to leave congregational life, but I wanted to move us to a mountaintop in the middle of Israel. And many, many people thought it was his idea. And it was actually mine, because I had a dream and I wanted to fulfill it. And I saw where I wanted my children to be. And it was the biggest boundary I'd ever made in my whole life. And I stick by that boundary. It was the best move we ever made, and the hardest. Obviously, we're not in Israel anymore. But what I learned from this little mini story, and I could go on, is that it's not anyone's fault that I was feeling overwhelmed. It's not that anyone in our congregation was bad or negative or anything like that. It was my responsibility to make decisions for myself. And when we are working on our boundaries and understanding what we need, who we are, where we need these things, like everything shifts when we begin to tether to something else besides people, right? Like many, many, many of us tether to our spouses, to our children, to our grandchildren, to our animals, I think I might tether to my dog. um, I'm trying not to, but I love him so much. So I might be guilty of that. My kids say I am. I try not to tether to the kids because I know it's not healthy. But really, it's hard when you love something so much. Okay. Anyways, when we tether to something other than source, then we're disappointed. Then we're living on the whim of somebody else. And the problem is those people change. People die. Animals do die. I had to learn that the hard way with my other dog who died 11 years ago. I couldn't get out of bed. And tethering to source means that you can call it God, whatever you want to call it, but tethering to something that is never changing, that always loves you, that is always there for you, it's a choice. Some people feel that that's not true. In my experience, people disappoint because they have to, right? They have to change. They are ever changing. Source, from my experience and from me teaching my clients, source is always loving, always there for you, always supporting you in this crazy world we live in. You are always safe within source. So what I learned from 18 years, really, it took a long time to really own my boundaries, is that it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that I was raised and that my ancestors were raised, and many women, honestly, are raised to believe that we should put others first. I remember my grandmother, God rest her soul, I love her, and she's been gone for 2 years. But it always drove me crazy because it reminded me of me. We would go out to dinner, and like clockwork, I would always look at my mom, and everyone would go around and say, "Oh, I'm going to have the salad. I'm going to have the whatever, the chicken." And my grandma would be the first one that will say, "Well, I'll have what she's having." Always. Like, "Oh, I'll have that too." And then if you got with something on the side, my grandma would get it with something on the side. Like, I always wanted to ask, like, "But do you really want that?" And the truth is, I don't know if she knew. But she was raised that way, and her mom was raised that way, and it goes on and on. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to choose to be dependent on something that is all-knowing and not all-changing. And once I took responsibility for myself and for my children, because really you have to tether to your children when they're young, right? But once I took responsibility for that, and my whole life changed. Yes, it's hard. It's hard to stand your truth. It's sometimes hard for women to say what they mean, to mean what they say. And it's hard for men too. It depends where you run in terms of your personality and what you're taught in this world. But what I've learned is that through the act of finding my own voice and getting my own energetic boundaries and really saying to myself something that my yoga teacher said to me years ago, "It's not my opinion what you think about me." Wait, your opinion of me is not my business. It's not my business. I like you. I hope you enjoy what I offer you, but it's not my business what you think about me. And being a rabbi's wife and a rabbi for 18 years, that's a hard position to be in because it's all about pleasing if you choose. So think about your life. And then let's go to some energetic boundaries that we can talk about to help you clear people out of your space. Because I work in the energy field, and your aura is a really big piece of you. Some people, there's a little piece of your aura called the perispirit. And the perispirit is, it's where people kind of come in and can stay. Disease starts in the perispirit, but if you can clear this every day, you can clear people out of your energetic space. And so what I do is I ask my guides, but I have, I imagine little swirly energy kind of scooping it out and dropping it into the earth. You want to make sure you drop it somewhere, the fire or the sun. And every single day before I start my day, before I get out of bed, and also at night, I'm clearing, I literally am kind of gathering junk and clearing it to the ground. So that's one way to clear your energy and to make sure that you are the person that's standing inside of your space. The other thing that I learned from one of my teachers is to energetically clear yourself off. So it's a Qigong move. So all you do is typically you stand up and you take your hands over your head and then just kind of blow out the energy from other people. It's very easy. You can do it anywhere. And imagine that energy going down to the ground. You may say, oh, I've done that before. Oh, that's easy. But when you intend for your space to be cleared, that's when things click with the universe. My intention, I don't just do it. My intention every single day is to ground myself and to release everybody's energy away from me. I work with a lot of clients, and in the client realm, you don't want to, if I took on your energy, I would then pass it to my next client. It's like, all I want to do is like this. And so I literally, I wipe off energy every day, all day long, while I'm talking to people, while I'm in between clients. I am just wiping it off. Wipe it off, put it into the ground. And I can, once you start doing it, it's like building a muscle. So that's your job. Here's your homework, is to wipe off other people's energy and start to see where in your life you are worried more about what they think of you versus what you think of you. So we're going to continue this conversation. I'd love to hear from you and hear about how you clear yourself and what you feel about your boundaries and where you're going and kind of how you feel about tethering to source. So until next time, I will see you next week. Lots of love. Namaste.